إن شاء الله. طيب، الحمد لله رب العالمين، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه والتابعين وتابعيهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, the second part of our session, the summary, the abridgment of Zaa'd al-Ma'ad. Zaa'd al-Ma'ad, the original work by Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, the abridgment done by the Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah ta'ala.
The spelling is Zaa'd full mal.
Zaa'd al-Ma'ad. Zaa'd means provision. Al-Ma'ad, the hereafter. Right? So this is now, as you will get to know in the Arabic, the possessive. It is provision for the hereafter, or the hereafter's provision, the next life provision. You know, your Zaa'd is the food that you take, for instance, along with you if you are traveling. You take some bread, you take some, fruits, because you're traveling, you put that is the Zaa'd, right? So he's giving you a Zaa'd for the next life. This is what you take along with you for the next life. This is the title of the book. And then he said, Zaa'd al-Ma'ad min hadi khayr al-ibad, or fi hadi khayr al-ibad, right? So, the guidance of the best of the worshippers. The guidance of Rasulullah ﷺ is the best provision that you can take along with you for the next life. If you know his guidance and you live with it, you practice it, that will be the best thing you take with you to the next life. That is the meaning of the title, which is a very powerful title, right? Zaa'd al-Ma'ad, provision for the hereafter, fi hadi khayr al-ibad, in the guidance of the best of the worshippers, alayhi salatu wassalam. So once again, the objective of this book is to mention the guidance of Rasulullah ﷺ in everything. So he mentioned everything about him, alayhi salatu wassalam, about his person, about his lifetime, about birth, his wife, his relatives, lineage, companions, even personal things that he owned, his slaves, his horses, his sword, right? And then he mentioned all about his life, the way he used to clothe himself, the way he used to go out, what did he say? The way, meeting people, eating, drinking, using cure, medicine, how he made wudu, how he prayed, how he fasted, how he performed hajj, how he performed jihad, what are the fatwas that he gave in his life. It became an amazing encyclopedia of Islam, right? An amazing one. He authored it while he was traveling. That's even much more amazing, right? And he has sometimes large quotes from different books. So the scholars, they explain that either he took some of these quotes alongside with him, or he was well aware of these quotes, but he left a blank for them. When he went and he got those books, he asked that those parts that he wanted to quote be written in those. Because sometimes they were wondering, like, he's quoting 2 or 3 pages from such and such book. He memorized all of that. That could very well be. It's not strange. Because they mention he memorizing the Musnad of Imam Ahmad, more than 30,000 hadith, right? Some of the scholars, their ability in memorizing was tremendous, was amazing, right? But then, even if not, he was authoring definitely the book he was doing while he was traveling, right? And he mentioned that himself. So those long quotes, maybe he knows what he wants, so he left a blank for them, and then they were added when he got home, or when he got to a place where he could quote or write down or copy those long quotes from the books that he wanted to quote. So anyhow, last week we mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there was a section about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made good and pure things special and specific and reserved and restricted for him. He does not accept, subhanahu wa ta'ala, accept what is good. And he said that you can tell the sign of success of the person by the things he chooses. So if he chooses and selects what is good for himself, good manner, good morals, good words, right? Good friends, good places to go to, right? And so on and so forth, then that's a sign he is from the people who are successful. If he is choosing the bad things for himself and for those who are around him, then that's a sign that indicates where he is going, right? And he ended this by mentioning that there is a place that Allah made for only pure things. That is paradise. There is a place that Allah made only for filth and filthy things. That is the fire. And there is a place that has a mix of good and bad. Where is that place? That is this worldly life. It has the good and the bad, right? Mixed, mingled together. You choose the good or the bad. And this will decide where you are going to be in the end. So the disbeliever, the mushrik, the kafir, his end is the fire, because there is nothing that can clean or cleanse him or clear him from his shirk. He died upon that. So that's his abode forever. As for the good and pure, then their place is paradise forever. As for those who mixed good and bad, he said his wisdom, subhanahu wa ta'ala, refuses to have anyone become his neighbor with his filth and dirt. So this person has to be cleansed, right? Either by being entered into the fire until he is clean and clear, then he is put in paradise. Or Allah chooses to forgive him and clean him and clear him of his sins, and therefore he will be from the people of paradise in the end. And he mentioned something that it is a must to know the guidance of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, and this reminds us of his title of the book, Zaa'd المعاد في هدي خير العباد, provision for the hereafter, from or in the guidance of the best of the creation, or the best of the worshippers. He said, إذا كانت السعادة معلقة بهديه, if happiness is linked and attached to his guidance عليه الصلاة والسلام, فيجب على كل من أحب نجاة نفسه, it is a must upon everyone who loves to save himself, أن يعرف من هديه وسيرته, that he should know of his guidance and his way, his life, عليه الصلاة والسلام, وشأنه, his condition, his affairs, ما يخرج به من خطة الجاهلين. He has to know of his guidance that which will make him come out of the way, the condition of the ignorant ones. Right? Those who are ignorant of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you claim you love the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you believe in him, you should know of his guidance, that which will make you be part of his followers, right? Not just you believe in him, you know, but then you don't know anything about him. That is not right? If you want salvation, if you want happiness, then happiness is attached to his guidance. So know of his guidance that which will bring you to safety and security and salvation. طيب. This time فصل في هديه صلى الله عليه وسلم في الوضوء. Now by jumping to al-wudu, we jumped a wealth of information. This is like about the original work is about maybe 200 pages gone, right? In which he detailed many things. And he spoke about Rasulullah ﷺ with details, alayhi salatu wassalam. But then, as I said, maybe doing the abridgment of Zaa'd al-Ma'ad, after we finish, maybe that will lead us to go through the details of the original work, which is Zaa'd al-Ma'ad itself. So we go through the original work. But now, we are getting basically the butter, as they say, right? Sometimes it's too summarized, but then, alhamdulillah, in this, there will be sufficiency for now, inshallah. The guidance of the Messenger ﷺ regarding wudu. Now this comes here in like one page, but it's gathering information that is in books, right? Books. He says, كان صلى الله عليه وسلم يتوضأ لكل صلاة في غالب أحيانه. He said, he عليه الصلاة والسلام used to make wudu for every salah in the majority, most of his time. Even if he has wudu, he would make another wudu for the next salah, right? وربما صلى الصلوات بوضوء واحد. And he may have prayed the prayers with one wudu, right? With one wudu. And he did that sometimes, and he did it deliberately to teach that this is okay to do. But most of the time he would make wudu for every salah, alayhi salatu wassalam. وكان يتوضأ بالمد تارة وبثلثيه تارة وبأزيد منه تارة. He would make wudu. What is the amount? He's talking about the amount here. He would make wudu with mud. Mud is what fills the two hands, right, of water, right? And sometimes with 2/3 of a mud, right? 2/3 of that, the water contained in that. And بأزيد منه تارة. And sometimes a little bit more than that, more than the mud, right? وكان من أيسر الناس, if you want to watch our Sheikh who visited us here before, Sheikh Abu Islam Saleh Taha, he can teach you, and it's on YouTube, how to make wudu with a small cup of water, right? He made wudu from that, right? He made wudu from that. You can see it, and you can watch it, right? Yes, on his website, abuislam.net. Abu Islam Saleh Taha, yes. Right? We like I mentioned this before, or more of a joke, but it's mentioned in the books that one person came and he said to one of the scholars that I immerse myself in water few times, but I'm still in doubt if I'm, done it perfectly or not. He said, go, you don't have to pray. سقطت عنك الصلاة. Salah is dropped from you. He said, what is this? So he told him, you're telling me you are immersing yourself in water and you're still in doubt. You don't have, you are insane. If you are insane, Salah is dropped from the majnoon, right? I think if the report is true, they attributed to one of the scholars, he wanted to teach this person to go back to wisdom and not to be in a state of being doubtful, waswas, right? Being played with the shaitan, basically. طيب. So he said, وَكَانَ مِنْ أَيْسَرِ النَّاسِ صَبًّا لِمَاءِ الْوُضُوءِ. He used to be from those who are the least of the people in terms of pouring the water for wudu, for making wudu, the purification. وَيُحَذِّرُ أُمَّتَهُ مِنَ الْإِسْرَافِ فِيهِ. He used to warn his nation from being excessive in that, يعني in pouring the water for wudu. وصح عنه أنه توضأ. يعني this now, يعني he's summarizing information contained in a number of ahadith. Just these words here that you've heard, right? So this is the case, يعني, right? And we need to be wise and economize on the water. And even I've heard, wallahi, sometimes يعني you wonder. Sometimes the person, if he thinks with a sound mind, he arrives at a conclusion that the Islamic legislation has already mentioned. One time on the radio I was listening to someone, and he was talking, non-Muslim, he was talking about when you brush your teeth, don't turn the tap and leave it running until you brush. He said, turn it off, and after you finish brushing, then turn it on again. And wallahi, this is from Islam. Yani. They got it with yani, the sound mind. Yani, if you think right, you get it right. Right? Allah inspired the humans by nature, yani, to know what is right and what is wrong. Many of the things. Right? Some things you cannot know them, but many things you feel this is right and this is wrong. Right? So we have this information for us. Even making wudu, you don't have to. Yani many times here they make wudu. Yani wallahi, it's enough to. Yani I was saying, did someone take a bath here? That's why if you see, we have a fan in front of the place where you make wudu. Sometimes you wonder what is there. It's like so wet in there. So we turn it on to dry it out, right? Because it's so wet. People use water in a way that is not acceptable. When we have direct text telling us not to do that. So either you make it yani, a very thin line and you use it, that will be sufficient. Or you choose turn on and off, right? You can do that also. So this is the case. He goes on to say, وَصَحَّ عَنْهُ. It is authentically narrated from him أنه توضأ مرة that he made wudu washing his body parts one time, each body part one time. ومرتين two times, وثلاثا three times, each body part 3 times. وفي بعض الأعضاء مرتين وبعضها 3. And some cases, he washed some body parts twice and some body parts 3 times. Right? So he did do that, mix between 2 and 3. So either you wash the body parts 1 time, or 2 times, or 3 times, with the discussion on the head, whether you wipe it 3 times or just 1 time. The majority, they say that the head and the ears is just 1 time. And there is a narration that adds that he wiped over his head 3 times. Some scholars authenticate it, some scholars don't. Also the feet, it has come what would be understood as he washed his feet 1 time. And some narrations explicitly mention that he washed his feet 3 times. Right? So there is that discussion there. He said, وَكَانَ يَتَمَضْمَضُ وَيَسْتَنْشِقْ تَارَةً بِغَرْفَةٍ وَتَارَةً بِغَرْفَتَيْنِ وَتَارَةً بِثَلَاثٍ. So he used to يَتَمَضْمَض, rinsing the mouth. The madmada is to put the water inside the mouth and to move it. Some people just put the water inside and they spit it. You should move it inside. Then you spit it. This is called madmada, rinsing, right? The mouth. وَيَسْتَنْشِقْ. Stinshaq is to sniff the water inside the nose, right? To enter the water inside the nose. You sniff it inside, right? تَارَةً بِغَرْفَةٍ. Sometimes with 1 hand, يعني full of water. You take 1 part, 1 time with water. Sometimes with 2, and sometimes with 3. He said, وَكَانَ يَصِلُ بَيْنَ الْمَضْمَضَةِ وَالْإِسْتِنْشَاقِ. And he used to join, he used to connect between madmada and istinshaq, between washing the mouth, rinsing the mouth, and washing or rinsing the nose. Right? He used to use sometimes one grab of water, sometimes 2 times, sometimes and 3, and then he connects. Connects meaning he will take some water, he will take some of it for his mouth, move the water and spit it. What is left of the water in his hand, he will use for his nose. So he does that 3 times, 1 time or 2 times or 3 times. Right? غرفة, غرفتين, 3 غرفات. Right? He used to join and connect. You can also, if you want, 3 for the mouth, then 3 for the nose. But the sunnah is to connect between them. Now some understood somehow that connecting is to take the water and go like, right? I haven't seen this, except some people are talking about it, but maybe this is lack of knowledge on my part, but then I haven't seen this. From one handful, meaning some of it for the mouth and some of it for the nose. Not like at the same time you do the mouth and the nose, right? That's not what is meant. What is meant is you take part of it for the mouth, you move it and you spit, then what is left in the hand, you use it for the nose. He says, وَكَانَ يَسْتَنْشِقُ بِالْيُمْنَى وَيَنْتَثِرُ بِالْيُسْرَى. He used to sniff the water into his nose, have the water into his nose with the right. And he will blow it out with his left. Right? Blow it out with his left. طيب. وكان, you wanted to say something?
Is it enough, the one you carry from here, when you put them out? How is it going to stay in
Some water in there, you use part of it for your mouth and part of it for your nose. Yes, it is enough, of course. If the whole wudu is with like this, right?
One time you bring this one, so what I do, this one,
Mm-hmm.
some is goes in there, but the leftover I put in here.
Mm-hmm.
I do this, and I throw from the mouth, I throw, and this one, I just do
Yeah.
the same water.
Yes. So this is the sunnah, is to connect. But if you separate it between washing the mouth and washing the nose, it's okay. You have done what is required. But then the sunnah is to take one handful of water, right? Or one grab. I don't want to say handful because somebody might understand you fill it all. It doesn't have to be like that, right? But you put some water in there that is sufficient for the mouth and nose. You take some for your mouth, you move it and you spit it. What is left? And you blow it out, right? So,
If I do one, and then green, and then
okay, let's do the questions at the end because otherwise it's gonna, right? Because we're repeating, huh? We are repeating. طيب. وكان يمسح رأسه كله تارة وتارة يقبل بيديه ويدبر بهما. He used to wipe over his head all of it one time, and he would يقبل بيديه ويدبر معا. So he would start from the beginning here of the forehead. He goes forward or backward and then back, right? He goes from the beginning of the head, the forehead, to the back of the head, and then he brings it back again. He said, وَلَمْ يَصِحَّ أَنَّهُ اقْتَصَرَ عَلَى مَسْحِ بَعْضِ رَأْسِهِ الْبَتَّةِ. And it is not established, it's not authentically narrated from him that he restricted himself to wiping over part of his head, period, at all. It's not narrated from him, this. It was not authentically narrated from him. You know how some they say only part of the, wipe only part of the head, right? This is not mentioned in the Sunnah. ولكن, he said, but ولكن إذا مسح على ناصيته كمل على العمامة. But if he would wipe over the front part of his head, this is the nasiyah. We did that before, right? Which surah has the word nasiyah? Right? With the kasra though, right? So this is the nasiyah. شعر مقدم الرأس. Nasiyah is the hair on the forehead here, closer to the forehead. Of course, the forehead doesn't have it. This is nasiyah. So if he was wearing the imama, the turban, he would wipe over the hair of the forehead and the closer to the forehead, the front of the hair, and the imama itself. وَلَمْ يَتَوَضَّأْ إِلَّا تَمَضْمَضَ وَاسْتَنْشَقْ. He never made wudu except that he made madmada and istinshaq, rinsing the mouth and rinsing the nose. وَلَمْ يُحْفَظْ عَنْهُ أَنَّهُ أَخَلَّ بِهِمَا مَرَّةً وَاحِدَةً. It's not known, it's not memorized from him in any narration that is that he missed doing that even one time. Right? He's indicating that the mouth and the nose was always part of the wudu. And there is a discussion between the scholars. Is it a must or just recommended to wash the mouth and the nose? There is a discussion between the scholars. But he's saying that his guidance, ﷺ, is that he never missed that. And some scholars, they say, if you did not rinse the mouth and the nose, the wudu is incomplete. Right? You have to. And sometimes you would say, who is going to... I did see sometimes one of the teachers, it was in Ottawa, he was trying to cut the wudu short for the little kids. So he was skipping the mouth and the nose because he was taught it's not a must. So he was just going through the face, the hands and then the face, no mouth and nose. Right? That's a mistake, yani. Because they need to be taught that since they are small, so that they will keep doing it, not being taught it's okay to skip it, even if it is a sunnah. Sunnah does not mean teach people to skip the sunnah, right? So this is the case. But anyhow, he never left washing the mouth and the nose. And the ayah in the Quran, it says, وُجُوهَكُمْ اغسلوا وُجُوهَكُمْ, right? So the mouth and the nose is part of the face, right? Right? So this is one of the proofs that those who say it's a must, they say that you must wash the mouth and the nose also. He said, وَكَذَلِكَ الْوُضُوء مُرَتَّبًا مُتَوَالِيًا وَلَمْ يُخِلَّ بِهِ مَرَّةً وَاحِدًا. Likewise, making wudu orderly and one after the other, consecutively, or one after the other immediately. Murattab, meaning washing the body parts exactly as they were mentioned in order. And the hands, the mouth, the nose, face, the arms, right? Like that. Never he mixed it, start with something. There is actually one hadith, however, that some scholars authenticate, and that hadith mentions washing the mouth and the nose after, yani not in order, right? So that's the only hadith that's there. But according to Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, he does not recognize that. He says never, always was done in order, and always mutawaliyan. Mutawaliyan meaning one after the other, immediately after the other. Not like washing the hands and the mouth and the nose, then you go 15-20 minutes, do this and that, then come back, then wash the face and the arms, and then go for another 15-20 minutes, then come back again, and now you wipe the head and the feet. He said never he did that. It was always after each other, right? طيب متواليا, right? وَلَمْ يُخِلَّ بِهِ مَرَّةً وَاحِدًا. He never missed that. The order and it being one after the other, immediately after the other. وكان يغسل رجليه إذا لم يكونا في خفين ولا جوربين. He used to wash his 2 feet if they were not in خفين, in shoes. خف is the shoes that covers up to the ankles, right? خفين. And ولا جوربين, and if they were not in socks, if his feet were not in shoes that cover the ankles. Why we're saying khuf is shoes that cover the ankle? Because in the Hajj, Rasulullah ﷺ said not to wear the khuffain. And if you have khuffain, cut them below the ankles, right? To be like na'lain. So the na'al is the shoes that do not cover the ankles, which are like most of our shoes that we are wearing nowadays. Shoes do not cover the... If you wear a boot or something like a boot, then that's a khuf, right? Na'al is shoes, the normal shoes that we wear. Usually they don't cover the ankles. So if his feet were not in shoes and not in socks, jawrabain, right? Then he would wash them, alayhi salatu wassalam. ويمسح أذنيه مع رأسه ظاهرهما وباطنهما. He would wipe his 2 ears along with his head, the outer and the inner part of them. So he would wipe his 2 ears along with his head, inside and outside. وكل حديث في أذكار الوضوء التي تقال عليه فكذب. Every hadith in the adhkar, the words of remembrance, that are said on the wudu itself, all of them are a lie, a forgery, except, now he would mention, غير التسمية في أوله, except for saying Bismillah in the beginning. وقول, and saying, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. This part is in Sahih Muslim, right? Up to this. And اللهم اجعلني من التوابين واجعلني من المتطهرين. This dua, oh Allah, make me from the repentant, make me from those who purify themselves. This addition in the Sunan, and some scholars authenticate, some scholars don't. He said, وحديث آخر في سنن النسائي, and another hadith in the Sunan of النسائي, and that is to say, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. This is like what you say at the end of a session. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك. I ask your forgiveness وأتوب إليك, and I repent to you. Now this narration, it is mentioned as a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, and it is mentioned as a statement of a companion. And Allah knows best, the authentic one is that it is a statement of a companion. It is not as strong referred to the Prophet ﷺ, but still, even if it is a statement of a companion, it is not something that a companion will say out of his own mind or out of his own pocket. So this is something to be said also. There is a narration that says, وَسِّعْ لِي فِي دَارِي. This narration, it says, بَيْنَ ظَهْرَانَيْ وُضُوئِهِ. According to some scholars, Allah knows best, that is not that strong either. Right? But what he's referring to as kadhib is the ones that you say at every part. When you wash your hands, you say this. When you do your mouth, you say that. When you do your nose, you say that. When you do your face, you say that. Some people are doing that. I don't know if you've seen this. Allahumma bayyid wajhi yawma tabyaddu wujuh wa taswaddu wujuh. Allahumma, like this. Every part has a dua. This hadith is a lie, he's saying. It's a forgery. It's nothing like that from Rasulullah ﷺ, where you say at every part of the wudu. It's not authentic from him. Rather, it's a lie that is referred to him, alayhi salatu wasalam. He said, وَلَمْ يَكُنْ يَقُلْ فِي أَوَّلِهِ نَوَيْتُ وَلَا أَحَدٌ مِّنَ الصَّحَابَةِ. He used not to say at the beginning of it, I intend. Not even one of the companions at all, period. I was just checking a book yesterday that someone brought, and they are teaching you what to say, adhkar, different adhkar, and then the wudu and the salah. And they are teaching you how to say it in Arabic. نويت أن أصلي صلاة الصبح ركعتان مستقبل القبلة فرضا أداء لله تعالى أداء لله تعالى. Right? They teach you that in Arabic. يعني they are putting that as from the adhkar. Right? Which there is no such a thing. There is no such a thing. Not for wudu and not for the salah. Right? Intention is in your heart. That's sufficient. If you intend to make wudu, Bismillah, and that's it. You don't say anything. نويت أن أتوضأ. I think what I saw is they said نويت أن أتوضأ لاستباحة الصلاة. Like this. They say that, they put it from them, there is no hadith on this, but this is what they are taught. And they put it in English. I intend to make wudu to make salah allowable for myself. Like this, yani, they put it. But no such a thing. Right? No dhikr like that. He did not say it, and none of the companions said that. وَلَمْ يَتَجَاوَزِ الثَّلَاثَ قَطْ. He never washed a body part more than 3. قط, period. Those words you should learn now. البتة, period. قط. All of these, they mean period. At all. Right? البتة and قط. Right? They are repeated here. Right? طيب. وكذلك لم يثبت عنه أنه تجاوز المرفقين والكعبين. Right? Actually, for more than 3, the hadith says that, and again, he is summarizing a lot of ahadith with these words here. So many hadith are put in very much condensed words. Right? There is a hadith that says, the one who does more than 3, فَقَدْ أَسَاءَ وَتَعَدَّى وَظَلَمَ. He has done bad, he has transgressed, and he has oppressed or committed a wrong thing. Right? ظلم, committed an oppression. Now the narration has أو نقص. One narration has أو نقص, or did less than 3. Then that less than 3 is not authentic. The only authentic part is if you do more. So if you washed the body part 3 times, don't wash 5 and 6 and 7. If you do that, تعدى, transgressed, أساء, you have done evil, you have done bad, وظلم, and you have committed an oppression. Right? طيب. He says وكذلك لم يثبت عنه أنه تجاوز المرفقين والكعبين. Likewise, it is not established from him that he went in washing beyond the 2 elbows and the 2 ankles. This statement here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 words. Right? It's not established from him that he went beyond the elbows and the ankles. This is summarizing a big discussion. A big discussion. Because it is reported from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu that he used to do that. When he would wash his arms, he would wash up until here. And when he would wash his feet, he will go above the ankles to half of the shin. And is it recommended? Is it not? Is it part of what Rasulullah ﷺ said? Or is it something, ijtihad, a judgment, or something that Abu Hurairah himself believed to be correct? Or did he see the Messenger ﷺ do it? There is a big discussion on that. And then some of the scholars, the madhahib, they are of the position to go beyond. And some are not. Right? So with this, he's saying it's not established from him that he went beyond the elbows and the ankles. He is summarizing a big story, a big discussion between the scholars. Right? And so many ahadith and the likes of that. Because Abu Hurairah was seen as doing that. And the hadith mentions that تبلغ الحلية, that the purification reaches from the believer wherever his wudu reaches. Right? So now Abu Hurairah would do more than just death, so that this beautification or adornment will reach even more. Is this his understanding, or is it something that he saw the Prophet ﷺ himself doing? Right? A discussion there. But he cut it short by telling us nothing. You want the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ, right? It's not established from him that he went more than the elbows or the ankles. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ يَعْتَادُ تَنْشِيفَ أَعْضَائِهِ. He wasn't in the habit of drying up his body parts. Right? There is no recommendation or dislike in doing that. You want to do it, you do it. You don't want to do it, you don't do it. But it wasn't, he's saying, it wasn't his habit to do that. وَكَانَ يُخَلِّلُ لحيته أحيانا وَلَمْ يواظب على ذلك. He used to have the water go through, with his fingers he would go through his beard. He said sometimes, and he did not do that always. Right? وَكَذَلِكَ تَخْلِيلُ الْأَصَابِعِ. Likewise, the washing between the fingers and the toes. Right? He wasn't وَلَمْ يَكُنْ يُحَافِظْ عَلَيْهِ. So he was doing it sometimes, he wasn't doing it all the time. وأما تحريك الخاتم أو الخاتم فروي فيه حديث ضعيف. As for moving the ring, then a weak narration, weak hadith is narrated regarding it. Right? So when he was making wudu, he moved his ring. This narration is not authentic. Right? So we will stop here, inshallah, and we continue.